Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. I am recording this on Sunday, February 2nd. So yesterday on the 1st, Trump enacted, signed, whatever he did. And there are tariffs that are going to be going into place. Canada, Mexico, and China in particular have been targeted. 25% on just like everything except for energy. And he's only tariffing that at 10%. So last night, Prime Minister Trudeau, after he gave a very long and sort of impassioned speech about how this isn't how you treat neighbors, and we have been the most successful, cross-border trading partners for 150 years, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, proceeded to then say, okay, now we are slapping tariffs on $155 billion of U.S. products. Now, where Trump is retaliatory, where he is, you done me wrong, I'm coming after you. Canadian government is strategic. And what they did was the $155 billion is focused so that it's going to hit the red states more than others. Now, this is the problem. Okay, so let's say you've got a manufacturer. First of all, about 23% of the cars sold in the United States actually come from either Canada or Mexico. That's where they're put together. So let's say, for example, you're building a car and you need a bolt to hold the seat in place. And that bolt is manufactured outside of your country. Comes right down to it, you can't put the seat together because in order for you to build the facilities to manufacture the bolt, well, you're looking apparently at like $50 or $60 million to get that thing up and running. And, that's not going to be built in time for the new, 2026 cars that are going to come rolling down the aisle in the summer. So what he's done is he's sort of, what is that expression? Cut off his nose to spite his face. It's sort of like that, right? He's creating harm against. I'm talking about Trump. He's creating harm against the very people who vote for him and who believe his nonsense. The problem is that all of us are going to feel the pain, and I will go so far as to say that the instability of the economies with what he's doing, that's going to be global. This is Sunday afternoon. The stock markets are going to open tomorrow. And they're going to crash. I mean, they may not but they're going to do a really, really deep nosedive. And the reality is they're not going to spring right back up because the damage is done and it has been created. So that's where we're at. So I want to take a look at the impact of the tariffs. Not really on the people, because we all know we're gonna pay a price for it, right? It's gonna get difficult out there. Things are gonna become very, very expensive, and apparently the Trump administration doesn't care. Now I heard this. I didn't hear it personally, but I heard Linda G, who you all know, I'm sure, said this, and apparently when somebody asked that press secretary of Trump's exactly how they were going to respond when Ontario and Quebec cut off electricity power into New York, into those, northern states that get the vast majority of their electricity from Canada. You know what her response was? Well, Jesus did just fine without electricity. So that's what we're dealing with, right? That's the kind of intelligence that is rolling around in your political systems right now. So I want to take a look not at what it's going to do to the people, really, but what it's going to do to the Trump administration. You also have Elon Musk apparently now has keys to the Treasury. And, people are getting fired left, right, and center. And they're getting fired for political reasons, which I understand is illegal. The problem is, okay, yeah, so he fires them and they all leave and then they go away and then they file a lawsuit or a class action lawsuit or whatever they're going to do. And that needs to work its way through the system. In the meantime, you have an FBI that is decimated. You have a CIA that is decimated. You have big, huge bureaucracies that are decimated, and they're not going to be able to function because all of a sudden, the average Mary and Joe who works in those departments aren't going to be there. So he has literally set up a situation. Truly, I honestly believe beyond his intellectual capacity to recognize that he has just sort of he's bombing his own country. I don't know. Maybe is that his intention? Is he just getting it ready so that it's in such a state of shambles that, some other country maybe can come take it over? Even though he swears he's going to take over Mexico, Canada, and let's not forget Greenland. So, and unfortunately, you have the tech that is complying, right? They're sort of going along. Apparently, is it Facebook? Somebody, Google, somebody has renamed the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America, but only for American consumption. The rest of the world knows it's still the Gulf of America. Gulf of, oh my God, Gulf of Mexico. So that's where we're at. Just a really, really fast aside. I just came in. I was outside. I was shoveling a little bit of snow. Last night here in central Alberta, with the wind chill, it was the pleasant, balmy temperature of 40 degrees below zero, minus 40. So I checked to see what that is in Fahrenheit. And yeah, you know what? It's your minus 42 or your 40 below. I can't even remember what the Fahrenheit sort of expression is. It's not below zero, but minus 40 in any case. So, hey, if nothing else, we agree on temperatures. It's freaking freezing out here, people. But, as Trudeau alluded to in his actual speech yesterday, we're pretty hardy out here, and those kinds of things don't knock us down. Might slow us down a little bit, but it doesn't knock us down. So if you're from a nice state that has nice warm temperatures, send us some warm air up here because it's really, really chilly. Let's get cracking here and see what we can find out about what. And I will be doing another reading, sort of just focusing on February for Trump. That'll be coming up later on, like this week. But I wanted today to just take a look and see what is going to be the reaction and the response to this stunt he pulled. Okay, the tariffs are kicking into effect in both directions on February 4th. The thing is that for a lot of the products that we get here in Canada from the United States, there has already been all kinds of lists going out, on the internet about the Canadian alternative. So, for example, pasta. We get some of our pasta from the United States. Well, there's Canadian manufacturers of pasta. So there's going to be, there are alternatives. One of the things that Trudeau did that's sort of smart was the tariffs go into effect on the 4th for a certain number of products, but for a lot of staples, those tariffs aren't going into effect until the 21 days from then. to allow supply chains here in Canada to find alternate sources of product, or I suppose in some cases to ramp up production of some products. But as I said, the tariffs are going to hit the red states the hardest. Maybe that will do it. Maybe, it wasn't enough that he froze everything. Maybe it wasn't enough that he's cutting, all of the services that they use, need, and rely on. Maybe this will help. I don't know. Let's just find out. Trump tariff reaction. Trump tariff reaction. Trump tariff reaction. Let's see what we've got here. Cards are flying. Hang on. Okay. Interesting. I have to tell you, cards are not actually as terrifying as I thought they would be. So let me just take a moment here and actually see what the message is. We're starting off with the Queen of Cups, followed by the Chariot, the Ten of Cups, and the Four of Cups. So the Queen of Cups, this is about emotional responses. Okay, people are going to be responding emotionally. So whether this is government reps who are going to be getting inundated with screaming phone calls and messages from their constituents saying, stop this madman, it's crazy what's going on, or it is simply politicians who are really going to be very vocal about this kind of behavior. And the thing is, it's retaliatory. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is Trump is saying that the reason for this, the messaging, Ace of Wands, the messaging is that he needs to stop the illegal immigrants and the fentanyl supply streaming into the state from Canada. Less than 1% of the fentanyl is coming from Canada into the States. And that has actually been even cracked down more recently. And less than 1% of migrants from Canada into the United States. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? If you're in Canada, why the hell would you try to get into the United States right now? In fact, if anything, you guys are trying to get into our country. But so what the first thing you're going to have is a lot of sort of emotion. You've got the Chariot. Things are going to feel really, really out of control. They're going to feel like they're spiraling. And there's not going to be any sort of clarity, right? Because that's one of the trick of the Trump behavior, is that they create the chaos and then they don't do anything to bring any clarity. So, I mean, even apparently the things that he froze last week and then retracted and unfroze, well, apparently there's still no intel being received from all of those agencies to know how they're supposed to respond or not respond. So, create the problem and then just step back and literally let, chaos reign. And I'm sorry, you can expect that. Frankly, Canada can expect that. Mexico can expect it. China can expect it, as can pretty much the rest of the world, because this is not something that happens in a vacuum. Okay, our economy, the U.S. economy, the Mexican economy are all going to be really, really strongly impacted by this. That's going to affect all of the other allies we have around the world. One of the things that it's going to do, however, is it is going to take some of the blinders off of some of his followers. And when that happens, the politicians, Four of Pentacles, are going to be put in an interesting place, right? Because they're going to be trapped between trying to bow to Trump to hold on to their political power, but they're going to be getting attacked by their own constituents yelling and screaming at them. And so they're going to find themselves in a place where they're not actually sure what they're supposed to be thinking, because we know certainly lately the Republicans don't think, politicians, they simply find out what they're supposed to be thinking and saying, and then they do and say that. So they're going to be scrambling, and it's not just this tomorrow or Monday or next Tuesday. It's going to be several weeks of really this sort of insanity. Trump is going to, believe it or not, he's going to try to run away from it. He's going to try to spin it. But you know what? This is the thing. When people can't find eggs at the grocery store, when people can't find the basics that they need and require, trying to run away from it's probably not going to help. And again, especially because it is those red states that are going to be the most impacted. There's still, stuff that's not seen clearly, okay? There's still hidden stuff. There's still, frankly, the results and the impact of this is still not something that is understood by and large by the vast majority of consumers. And I'm not even going to just say Americans, because I'm sure that there's Canadians running around who are just as disconnected to what's going on politically, and all of a sudden are going to be going, well, how come my, whatever product jacked up in price by 25%? So there's a lot of stuff that's sort of still shrouded. It's not, there isn't any clarity. Is it going to come? Well, it is, except what you've got is messaging that's coming out that is spun. It's wrong. It's inaccurate. It's half truthful. There's going to just be a lot of that. And, it's interesting because I was watching the, just a very short period of time, because really I have a very limited tolerance now for legacy media. But they were talking about RFK's hearings. They were talking about all kinds of stuff. What they should be doing is creating lists of two things. One, all of those executive orders, they should be listing them so we actually know what he did with them. Apparently, one of the things he did with them was he countermanded, he canceled the Biden executive order on keeping lowering prescription prices. Do we know that? Do we hear about that? I haven't. So instead of saying, listen up, the president just created trade wars with 3 other nations. These are the things that are going to be impacted in your day-to-day world. No, they're talking about whether or not or how fast Kennedy is trying to run away from the whole vaccine situation. And I'm not saying that's not important. What I'm saying is get your priorities in order, people, because come Tuesday, everyone is going to start feeling the impact of this. The media needs to start being a little bit more transparent about what is going on. They cannot continue to look away and try to whitewash what he's doing or how he's doing it. It's not a good situation. Here comes the tower, okay? The emperor follows that. Who's the emperor? The emperor is going to be businesses that are going to be absolutely up in arms over this. This is not something that the business community supports. So who supports this? It's not Democrats. It's not independents. It's not even Republicans, some Republicans. It's not the business community. It's not other countries. Who is supporting this? He's going to start losing support from places where he kind of thought he was above it because, hey, Hierophant. He's the head honcho and he can do what he wants. The problem is his judgment's going to come raining down on him faster than he even knows what to do. He's not going to be able to calm things down and create a balance, because the damage is going to be, it's going to be felt almost immediately. And he's going to lose support. People are going to just start walking away from him. But don't get all excited and start like wringing your hands and going, Yahoo! Because first of all, that doesn't mean he's going to somehow magically get booted out of office. To the best of my knowledge, the American political system does not have sort of that non-confidence vote thing that happens in, parliamentary governments, right? If Trudeau had been, if Trudeau was doing what Trump had done, there would be a non-confidence vote so fast it would make your head spin. But and they would like remove him from office. But you can't do that. The only way, for my understanding, that you can get him out of office is by one of the amendments, 25th maybe, and get him yanked out of office. Except who has to approve that? Well, his cabinet. Well, his cabinet is a whole bunch of people who he's handing out favors to. They're his closest buddies and allies. So are they going to do it? No. But he's going to be losing support. He's made a deal. It is going to soon become very, very apparent that his motivation is about power, greed, and more power. And that is going to ultimately end up sort of binding him, right? It's going to wrap around him so tightly that he's going to have a really, really hard time extracting himself from this. And, this is one of the things we know about politicians by and large, is when something goes wrong, they're forever in a day trying to find that exit ramp, right? They're trying to find a way to gracefully back down. I don't know that he's going to be able to find that. I'm trying to see if it's possible that between, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, and Tuesday morning, whether or not there is a way for him to back up a little bit. And you've got the Six of Cups here. You got the Four of Wands. So it's possible that he is going to be able to backtrack a little bit. But this is the thing. Even if he rescinds all of those tariffs, the damage is done. Okay, it's just that simple. You can only slap your allies in the face and sucker punch them so many times before he will completely lose credibility with other countries and with other nations. And I think what you're going to see is allies are listen, if you think since he has been elected that all the other allies, all the other countries are just sitting around going, oh, well, I guess we'll wait and see what he does. They have been talking to each other. They have been strategizing. They have been trying to figure out how they're going to outmaneuver this. And so what he's finding, or he's going to find in very short order, is that he has far more opposition, not only within his country, but coming from globally. So he's in a bit of a problem. Okay, what you're going to see is legal methods that are going to try to step in. Apparently, even what he's doing with these tariffs, he's using some specific clause within your government's I don't even know what to say, but there's something that he's relying on to be able to say these tariffs are justified. And the reality is, they're not. And I think at some point the courts are going to step in. The trouble is that, as you've seen with certain states, for example, there are these, tried and true Republicans who are like, screw you, I don't have to listen to you, Supreme Court. Who the hell do you think you are? And that's going to be the problem, is even if there are legal remedies and legal solutions, it's going to be very, very hard to, who's going to implement them? The FBI is under his control. The CIA is under his control. Homeland Security is under his control, with idiots running them now, if there even is somebody running it. Who's supposed to enact the legal ramifications? That becomes a question. That becomes a concern. And so I'm not trying to scare the pants out of you, but what I am saying is it's time now for you to pay attention. You don't have to pay attention through legacy media. You do not have to pay attention 24/7. But I really, really encourage you people who have just pulled back because it makes you insane. I want you to start dialing in just a little bit, because what he's doing now is going to impact you within the next 48 within the next 48 hours. Okay. So you need to pay attention to what is going on, not only federally, but within your community. Governors, in blue states are freaking out all over the place. But again, you're going to go to the court system. But I'm not so sure that just because the court says something, the government itself is going to be quick to respond and react. And who gets, who gets the collateral damage, right? The people do. So in order for you, for a while there, it was like, just like tune everything out, just, go watch funny movies and just disconnect because this is going to make you crazy. We're now at a place where I'm gently suggesting you have to start tuning in. Do not do this 24/7. You'll make yourself nuts. But I really do encourage you, whether it is legacy media, whether it is alternative media, keep informed about what is going on and what the reactions and what the responses are to the stuff that is going on. Okay, it's not just the tariffs. As I said, Elon Musk apparently now has the keys to the Treasury. And anybody who's trying to stop him or get in his way or slow him down, they're getting fired. So who's supposed to enforce what the courts say, even if the courts are saying his behavior and his actions are wrong? Therein lies the problem. Now, I'm just going to pause for a second, and energetically, I want to just swing into his energy, and I want to see how he is actually handling what's going on right now and the responses that he's received. Okay. What you're going to see is a lot of bravado. Typical, aggressive, bully-like behavior. They're going to put tariffs on me. Well, we're going to increase their tariffs. It's going to be this kind of, schoolyard juvenile behavior. But internally, like a lot of bullies who are confronted, he's starting to get a little bit nervous. And the problem is you have people like Elon Musk who, they're smarter than him. And so he's getting advice from people who have their own agendas. And he foolishly thinks that they are in his corner. And they're not. The Elon Musks of the world are in their own corner. All right. And that, to some extent, I mean, that explains, the Zuckerbergs and the Bezos and all the rest of them. They're doing what they can to protect their companies and their businesses. But at some point, when he starts losing power, gravitas, they're going to start backing away, dancing around, that kind of thing. The support isn't going to be as staunch and strong as he thinks it is. But right now, you're looking at somebody who is, in some ways, he's checked out. He's not really paying attention because, he loves the sound of his own voice. And unfortunately, you are seeing a lot of the reporting on this is so lopsided that the very people who are going to be the most hurt are not getting an accurate story or an accurate reflection of what he's doing and how that actually impacts them on a day-to-day basis. So what I want you to do, keep breathing, okay? Don't allow your heart rate to zoom and your blood pressure to spiral. What you want to do is keep yourself informed to the point where you have an understanding and a knowledge of what is going on around you, what's going on in your community, in your state, etc. You're going to think for yourself what it is you do or don't, can and can't do to try to buffer or protect yourself. Does that mean maybe you stock up on some staples if you haven't already? Does that mean maybe you take a look at your finances and you figure out where you can borrow from here to deal with that there? Whatever it is, I want you to take the posture of doing what you need to do to keep yourself protected. And when it's all said and done, remember this. And probably I shouldn't have saved this for the last sentence. But remember this. 1, you're not alone. 2, there is support that comes not only within your community, not only within your state and your country, and for Canada, not only within your provinces, because we're going to get nailed. So is Mexico. But remember that there is there's help and guidance and support coming from other sources, whether it is the realms, whether it is angelic, whether it is divine. Put whatever name on it you want. We are not on a rock in the middle of God knows what, a galaxy that's spiraling and spinning out of control. There is help and assistance coming our way. And the reality is, and do not forget this, the higher they climb, the harder they fall. And somebody is going to fall really, really hard. And I do not believe it's going to be the citizens of countries. Hold on to that. And make your voices heard. I don't want to hear about this. It does no good to phone or contact my representative because, they're red and they don't listen. It does not matter whether they listen. It's a matter of those calls get logged and there then is a record of the reactions from their constituents. Ditto the White House. Those calls are logged. It's not like they're going, oh yeah, here's that crazy Mary again. That's not what they have to log them, which means there is a record of your displeasure. And your displeasure is going to add up. And that fall he takes is going to be painful. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know when it's going to happen. But I'm telling you, he's going to fall. And it's going to hurt. Big breath. We are strong. We are a powerful, powerful people. We're not falling for this. I will see you really, really soon. Until then, please take care. Be well. Stay informed. Until next time. Bye for now.